We're here at Electric Feel in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're gonna go tour the studio. Hey, Danielle.
Gavin.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What's
Hey,
up?
Gavin. Welcome back, man. Great to see you.
Yep, you too. All right, we're here with our good friends Nick and Danielle, who is no stranger to our channel. We did the LA studio tour a little while back, and we're now in Nashville.
Welcome to Nashville.
Thank you, thank you. This project was super fun because it was a transformation of what once was a studio, and then it became a salon, and now it's a studio again, which I preferred as a studio.
I do too.
What was the decision-making process behind having Electric Feel have a location in Nashville?
Well, as you know, Post released his country album and worked on all of that in Nashville. Except for the vocals, he came back to LA to record. So yeah, I mean, you know, the team had been spending a lot of time here. Austin, our CEO, had been spending a lot of time here. And I think it's just an extension of the Electric Feel brand into the Nashville space. You know, this building came up on historic Music Row, and it's just an absolutely incredible building. It was just an insane find, and we really saw the potential for it.
Yeah, well, and yeah, seeing the potential, I mean, obviously it being a studio before, I think when I first came here, there were still mic plates in the walls, and but they had a massage table in the middle of the live room.
They had a few things,
And even I think one of the ISO booths had laundry services. Like,
and a toilet.
Yeah, and a toilet.
And a toilet, yeah.
And so, but yeah, to see what you guys did with this space is just beautiful. I mean, and even the outside is unrecognizable compared to where it was, and just so much work, and it happened pretty quickly.
I think it was summertime when we bought the building, and then we went under construction in October, and we officially opened on February 10th. We finished construction and did our first session for post on the same day.
Oh, wow. No pressure. So I know that one of the biggest things here, we didn't do a whole lot of isolation improvements. There was a little bit here and there that we worked with, but a lot of it was the interior acoustical treatment and changing the way that space was. Because originally, this studio was set up so that you face the window into the live room. And one of the big choices that we made was to rotate it 90 degrees so that you face the short wall and throw towards the back.
Which I think is great. I'm so happy with the performance of the room, and a lot of other people come out to us and say, hey, it sounds great, which is, you know, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but for me, if I think it's cool, I like to wait for other people to verify that, you know, because it's about everybody, you know what I mean? So, but I remember, actually, I was almost finished with the cabling for this setup in this orientation. I think I cut the last thing, and she called me, she's like, hey, I got a surprise for you. And I said, yeah, what is it?
I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
You had already done all the cabling?
Yeah, no, I had to measure. It was 30, I know I needed 30 feet this way.
And you still like me? And you still
I love
allow
you
me
guys.
to come in?
You know, accept challenges when you can. You know what I mean? That was one of those ones, but.
We originally, we had spec'd the 1238s for this room.
Yeah.
And we had a pair in Miami that we had sent out here. And based on room size and room calculations, that would have been a perfect speaker.
And they had
for
that. They
this
had
room.
smaller than that for years prior to that. The other forms of the
Yeah.
studio. But I mean, I think it was a really great choice. You know, obviously Genelec, we love Genelec at Electric Feel, and it just made a lot of sense. So I went to cut that last one. I just went.
Okay.
And then, but I used all that too, so it was not a total loss.
That's
it was
good.
I just love that story.
I saw the speakers in here, and I had them right here, and they were facing out, and you know, the room was still facing this way, and I just looked at them, and I was like, I know, in theory, yes, they're fine for this room, but just the visual impact of those versus this, I just knew our clients, they just expect these bigger soffit mounted mains. So I called Nick, and I was like,
And it's great though. I mean, it's you know, that was the right thing. We would have ended up with mains in here anyways, whatever configuration. And in this, you know, with the angles and the wall that you've calculated and done all your work. I mean, again, I've mixed in here a couple times, and I've really enjoyed the experience. So it's great.
The biggest thing with this room, I mean, we didn't want to touch all the glass and everything, and the size of the window. It's really great sight lines into there. But with those speakers, there wasn't any good way to soffit mount them and still have an equalateral triangle.
Exactly.
And so it just made sense to do it this way. But I really love the way that the room laid out. There was that step down into this kind of hallway that leads into the live room. But I thought that feature might be a little clunky, but it actually is kind of nice.
Yeah, no, it's
step
great.
into this area.
Because you know, you're able to have the foot traffic from the lounge into the live room easily, and we'll put like additional seating behind the sofa so people can sit back there. And, you know, we do cram a lot of people in the room. So.
Sure do.
I saw recently there was a post, I think for maybe the Titan.
Yeah, the Titans
that you guys
were
were working on some stuff. There's a lot of people.
There's probably 25 people in here at one point. I mean, you can do it. It's not comfortable, but it was fun. They had a great time. So.
Yeah. So one of the big things that we did was bring in Built by S.O.U.N.D to do all of the acoustical treatments.
Absolutely.
That was the big focus of this, was to upgrade the acoustics in this control room, but then also some of the other spaces. When I came originally and did some testing, and just to kind of see how it's currently performing, and then we ran models and put together some treatment plans. But yeah, Christian with Built by S.O.U.N.D, he was here a lot.
Yeah, he was.
And doing just an amazing job. I mean, you walk into this space, it's almost unrecognizable compared to the way it was.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're so easy to work with and fun.
Yeah.
They're very patient with me too. I really fixate on like the details of things, like just the fabric alone. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen every single brown acoustic fabric that exists.
Yeah, I like the choice because you don't see the darker brown in a whole lot of studios, but I think it works awesome in here. Some of the details acoustically that we changed in here, one of the things was these like soffit bass traps down the sides here. It's a kind of signature that we do in most of our rooms, is because helping with tangential modes, and those are areas of the room that, you know, nothing else is going on there anyway, so you might as well make it an element. And then I love the lighting detail that S.O.U.N.D put in there.
That's nice.
Me too.
You just kind of give you a soft glow of the ceiling. We also, the soffit mounting was crucial, you know, to, like you mentioned, Genelec speakers are amazing, and they're amazing on their own, but then also when they're put in this kind of configuration with the soffit mounting, those walls are not easy to build, not only because they're very massive, there's a lot of layers that go into it, but then the angles have to be perfect.
Absolutely.
So the nice thing about this one is that since they were vertical, we didn't have to worry about if the tweeter was on the inside or the outside.
You know, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll never make that mistake again. No.
But,
they did a really good job on the other side of the wall. I spent a lot of time in that space.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Here I am in the wall. Again.
Call it Narnia, so.
Some other interesting things about the wall are that I told Christian, Built by S.O.U.N.D, like we didn't want any like hard corners, so the corners are actually like,
rounded,
rounded, and then the TV in the niche, and then the paint color. I mean, we went like around in circles about all sorts of different finishes to do on the front wall, but ultimately landed on a paint color that we wanted to match as closely to the fabric as possible. So.
And it was nice to, in a room like this, when it's just stereo, we can have a hard surface on the front, you know, compared to Atmos room where we can't throw a ton of energy towards reflective surfaces. So having it hard surface is really nice. Big diffuser in the back of the room. You know, that is, the back of the room actually has kind of a strange angles out and then goes straight across. It's hard to see when you first look at it, but you know, building a custom diffuser like that's not an easy task either.
It's not light either.
It was a big project. Yeah, they killed it.
Yeah, the kind of craftsmanship, supply measurements to Christian, he can build anything.
He sure can. No, it's great. And the great thing about Nashville too, I mean, it seems like there's really good quality stuff around, like, you know, this kind of wood, you know, you know, great places around. Like we used good wood and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I mean,
the Forge.
The Forge, love the Forge. Shout out Andy.
What's the Forge?
Oh, it's like a place where you can go and rent workshop space and stuff like that. But they also do art gallery. They also do art classes. You know, all types of different stuff. And I actually got all the mic panels cut there. Laser cutter designed them there, and then they cut them out.
Like a shared woodworking space. They did the diffusers, like all of walnut veneers that you see, the trims. There's another diffuser which we'll see in Studio B, even like the vents.
Yeah, when you walk in here, it just feels like it was almost like this room's always been here. You know, it's like,
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really great. Talk about a little bit about the couch, because I know that was a big undertaking kind of figure out.
It was, yeah. It's a custom sofa. There are hidden compartments on the left and right sides that we have, you know, aux, mic, headphone, power.
Where was this built at? Like
in Los Angeles. A company called Bespoke Furniture helped us with it.
This desk looks custom as well.
It is.
Was that also in LA, same company or no?
This is in LA. This is a company called Pacific Southern Development. Gilad and Edward have built the most incredible desks for us. They did our marble desk in LA. Coming soon, these two incredible, also like marble onyx desks for our Miami studios, and then they did this one for us as well. And each one is a little bit different. Again, like, you know, the curved edges were kind of like a really fun detail.
Yeah.
Different to our LA desk. This has like, you know, the upper rack space,
Yep.
the dog houses. So
So Nick, do you mind running through some of the gear that you've chosen? Did you choose a lot of the gear for this space?
I chose all of it, which
Okay.
is, one of my favorite things to do is sit there and, scroll through things and, just buy things. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. But yeah,
Nice.
so in the front, we've got the SSL 948 Delta, which I absolutely love. This is a console. Stereo returns on the faders if you want to. So super easy to bring up, different computers and stereo sources. I mean, the workflow is crazy on this thing. And I've spent probably since 2013 working with the AWS series of consoles. Really glad to have it here. It really simplifies things and makes life, easy and fun, and it feels good to work on. It sounds great too. A lot of other usual suspects, BAE 1073s. We've got one of my favorites, the Focusrite ISA series. I think it's kind of an overlooked piece, but I mean, you can do so much with those things. They sound so good, really natural. I'm just a huge fan of those. And we also have the option card in the back where you can take the digital signal out and pump it into like an Apollo optical input and get 8 more channels per, and that comes up right here. That's one of my favorite things to do. So these both do that, and then the ASP 880. It's got the A to D converter. You can just literally go line input to it and it just converts and it comes up there as well. So that's just one of my favorite little things to do in rooms because it's something that, you might not need it, 99% of the time, but that one time you do, people get really excited about it and they're like, hey, cool. Got to have the tube tech also. People are crazy about them. So, I think they're awesome. Some of my friends can get them to sound amazing, which, I'm I'm a 1176 guy mostly,
Okay,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? But I've gotten to use this, a little bit more recently and I really enjoy it. It sounds great. Speaking of 1176ers, there's not one in here, but we have a few floating around, a bunch of floating gear, another Focusrite ISA 430 channel strip in the tech shop for the size of the desk. We've got, I think 12 bays, patch bays. So, Redco bays, which I'm a big fan of Redco. That's where I get all my materials from most of the time. And they're very utilitarian and work, and I have never had one go bad. So, I just really trust them. As far as the I/O in the room, we've got Apogee Symphony Mark IIs, 64 in, 64 out. That's lying around. Got to have the distressors, and then these guys down here, just to jump back over here, really big fan of this stuff down here. The X-Logic stuff is incredible. Love using that on drums, acoustic guitars. We did a rehearsal in here with 3 acoustics, a piano, and vocals, and they're just so utilitarian. You can just do almost anything with them, and they sound amazing. So, but yeah, so it's concise, like I said, but very effective. We've got utility pieces up here, an aux, another Avion port here. The calibration that I use for the Genelec, the GLM, I've got a port here where it's just always plugged in. I just bring my laptop in so no one can tamper if it's on the house computer.
Okay.
Plug in my rig, do whatever sort of tuning and changes I need to make. And something I'm really proud of is, if you look underneath, there's no cables, which is great.
Yes.
That's something I'm really passionate about is trying to have a room feel really put together and not cluttered and very, attractive in the sense of you don't see a lot of cables in its resting spot. Obviously, when you plug things in and you start working in a studio, you're going to see stuff. But last thing in the room I really love is the NS10s with the ref tone woofers. Absolutely love those things. They're my favorite, alternate speaker to use besides the mains.
Yeah.
So, for mixing and tracking and, checking different things and preparing it for, listening on other systems. So I'm very happy with the room. I think it's fantastic. So, yeah. And also the cart. Can't forget the cart.
Yeah.
Call
gotta
it the
do that.
sled. Got it all dressed in. It's got its own talkback, foot switch on it and everything, all different kind of connections, a dock from OWC, which is great. You could even sit on the couch if you wanted to and record. So yeah, that's kind of the lay of the land in the room. So
What kind of time does it take to wire up a studio like this?
Man, it depends. If you buy prefabricated connectors for your patch bays, which is great, definitely an option, it saves quite a bit amount of time.
Yeah.
But if you, like for what I did for this room is 2 things. The building was a studio like you mentioned before. So there was actually already the Mogami. I would have purchased the same stuff. So I didn't have to.
Yeah.
So I was like, great. Reconnected those to D-sub, attached those to the back of the bays. And then for all the other cabling, it took a bit. It took every day for about a month. You know what I mean? So 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's
it
a
takes
huge
time.
step of it. Obviously, there's the construction of the space, the treatment of the space, but a lot of time people don't realize how much effort it takes to make something like this all speak well together. So
it's funny. I'll talk to some friends sometimes like, I just bought a console, and then I'm like, what are you gonna do for cabling? They're like, oh, didn't think of that. And it's just like, you're so excited about the piece, but you got to hook the piece up.
Yeah.
And what you use, I really do think matters. You know what I mean? You can technically use anything, but I really prefer Mogami, and I don't work for them.
Yeah.
But shout out. But using quality ingredients, not only the cabling but the connectors, the process in which that's made, I think is incredibly important. So nothing to you could make a record in a house, it doesn't matter. But for something like this, I really wanted to give it the love I thought it deserves and just, make it great for the people that are gonna use it, so.
obviously we have these amazing main speakers, but I know that a lot of the clients here at Electrofield like the low end a little bit.
They do, yeah.
So what was your solution for that?
Give it to them. So we got this sub right under here. It's Genelec's biggest sub they make in an enclosure. It's, I think, got 3 15s in it. I might be mistaken. But you know, I really enjoy for main systems to give that, just if we can get it, if there's the space, if there's the budget to do it, because it's there if you need it. With the GLM, you can kind of decide how much of that you're going to get, where the crossover is, what the experience is going to be like, and you can change that, which I really love about Genelec. So, I mean, it's been really great. I have the room tuned a little different than I have LA tuned, just because of the music. I mean, we're Music City, so all different types of music get worked on in here, but you know, right now it's kind of a flat, sweet kind of reveal to the sound. That's how I would describe it, but it still has a lot of knock on the bottom, but nothing too clubby, but it just, you feel it, you know, so.
For sure.
Yeah, that was a great addition. I'm glad we did that. And it's also socketed back there, and it's kind of, you know, you don't really see it when you walk in, but you hear it.
You hear it, yeah.
Which is
I
great.
remember when I was here, it feels like a month or two ago, and got to listen to a few things, and it's just, it sounds amazing in here, and I think everything that was chosen is exactly what the room needed.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, it is really nice to, you know, I'm not trying to, I think it's a culmination of everybody's work, not just mine, but everybody coming together, you know, from the interior design to the, you know, the acoustical design to the, you know, the construction, putting all that together, the whole entire team. It's just like when you sit in here and you finally listen. I remember we finally plugged them in when things were kind of done and listened, and it's one of those moments where it's, you know, every time that happens in the studio you build, it's just one of those moments.
So one of the things that is striking in this room to me is just the vibe of it. Like, it just has a certain feel, and I know it, obviously all the color choices and the wood types and all those things, but then there's also a lot of lighting that went into this, and so and it's all controllable on your phone, and you can change the mood. Is that something that clients look for a lot, like in the space? Like, wanting to change things up
all the time. Yeah. I mean, we've got a couple default profiles that we have just to kind of, when people come in, it's a familiar thing, but if they want to change it, like, you know, we had Sexy Red, and she's like, make it all red. I said, absolutely.
Yes.
Even kind of funny, I even brought out red mic cables for her. This is like a joke.
There you go.
But she thought it was kind of cool. She's like, every time I said, you got it. But no, definitely the lighting is something that people really enjoy, because it does change your, you know, how you feel in a room, and the kind of atmosphere you're setting to create whatever music you're making, and I think it's wonderful.
What lighting choice did you choose in here?
So we have the Philips Hue system in here, same as our LA studios. It's just a really versatile, like, easy to use system that you can control on an app. So we usually have iPads in the rooms that give clients the ability to change it to whatever mood or setting they want. And as Nick mentioned, we have a lot of pre-filled scenes and moods that they can choose from. But yeah, the Hue app is like one of the most consumer-friendly, easiest systems out there to use. The way they install these lights into the channels and hide them or get them to glow a certain way. Like, we even have lighting
Down
beneath
low.
the step. Here, up here, like, there was a lot that went into how the lights were installed.
Yeah. Even sitting with electric guitars, like single coils, and just making sure with an amp that there was no frequency bleeder.
Oh, yeah.
Like, God bless them for that. I mean, they sat there with me for, you know, not too long, but we just wanted to check, and there was one little thing where we were getting on one of these under channels here, we're getting a frequency, and, you know, that was all tuned out and fixed.
So we'll check out the live room in a little bit, but there's so much more in this building. This is beautiful, like, just hanging out space. You've got a little living space over here with a TV, a nice kitchen. I'm sure everyone hangs out in here.
And you know, we also got the outdoor seating as well with the fire pit, which is great too. People really seem to like to, you know, when the sun goes down.
And this is a telescoping door, right? So
Sure
you can open up the whole space, and
inside, outside, whatever you like.
Telescoping door, travertine fire pit,
90+ degree weather outside.
Taj Mahal Island.
That's right. Pellet ice maker. Bud Light refrigerator.
So I do have a question. Is there any story behind this painting that was chosen here?
You know, I like to say that Nate is the keeper of the tale. This is Nate Middleton. He's one of our, it's actually the first person we hired for Electrofield Nashville. And we've had a lot of long sessions together, and he's been absolutely amazing, kills it. And you know, this is one of Austin's paintings that was brought here. And people kept asking, it's the first session, and I think you Googled it to see what it was?
I did like a reverse image search. It's one of several by an artist named Jordy Kerwick. This one I think is untitled. There's another one that people thought it was that's called They're Coming For You, but this is not that one.
Okay. Still feels like it.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
right, so right off the front entrance, there's also Studio B.
Correct.
And I know that that was one I also did some testing in before, and there was quite a bit of renovation that happened here. So
definitely.
let's go check it out. First, there is a vocal booth that is connected to the space.
Absolutely.
With some lovely storage. So yeah, with this space, it was pretty much the skeleton of it was the same. It's just, you know, building out some of the acoustical treatments. I think all the treatments in here were like 1 inch thick, and we increased the thickness there to help with some of the low end here. And then B room, another beautiful custom desk here.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about what the studio is used for.
So a lot of songwriting, vocal tracking, mixing, you know what I mean? It's flexible, you can do anything you want in it, really. I mean, enjoy it. Got the Genelecs again, 1238s. Absolutely love these. These are some of my favorite. If I had to buy a speaker today, I mean, I obviously love the big ones, but for size, you know, what they reproduce, the reveal of them, I love these. These are incredible. And we paired them with the 7380 sub as well from Genelec. So, and again, GLM in the room to help tie it together and calibrate. More usual suspects, Tube Tech, BAE 1073, Apollo, Dangerous, D-Box Plus 2, R&D headphone preamps, and then amplifiers to say, and then aux. So yeah, simple but effective. Would like to maybe put a console in here one day, but you never know.
Okay. This space, we have a stretch fabric system as well. Rose Tone helped with and built a custom diffuser again for the rear wall. A little slope to the ceiling, which is kind of an interesting element, which was already there.
Yeah, this is, you know, one of my favorite rooms to work in, you know, for sure. The A room's great and a whole lot of fun, but, you know, this doesn't feel like a downgrade to me. The performance is, you know, obviously it sounds a little bit different, but you've still got the high-end stuff. So it's great. I love it.
All right, so I think we should go back to Studio A and check out the library.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
So when I first arrived here to do some testing, this room had a chandelier in it. It was like a crystal chandelier. There's a massage table here, I believe, of some sort, and it was all a full salon. And each one of these were kind of treatment rooms. And, but yeah, the studio, like at least the layout, from my perspective, is very Nashville. You know, having a lot of ISO rooms and being able to do, you know, full isolation with multiple instruments throughout. But yeah, this room here, there was some opportunities we could do above the ceiling that, because I think when you pulled down the ceiling, it was just like, hey, there's not a whole lot of treatment up here, but there's a lot of space. Yeah. And so there was additional bass trapping that we could do, changing out fabrics. I think in some areas we increased thickness in some areas as well, but yeah, it's a really nice space. Do you have a lot of like bands that want to come in here and record all in the same room, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interest for sure. I mean, just being here for a couple months, I think, you know, we're still kind of settling in, but we just did our first one a couple weeks ago, you know, which is great. So, I mean, people seem really happy. I mean, even people that have worked here when it was, you know, Catch This Music or Bayou even, I've met a few of these people, and they, you know, some of them actually don't realize it's the place they used to work.
Right.
And they're like, whoa, and you know, there's actually a friend of mine, his name's Pat Holt. You know, he's become a great friend. And he used to work here a lot. And he was, you know, looking through all the different things, like a kid checking out his like childhood home. And he's like, man, I just got a lot of records here. And you know, it's always sounded like a great drum room. You know, he was really complimentary of it. And it's really cool to meet those people that have been here. But I mean, yeah, I mean, not much has changed as far as like the structure, but like you said, the acoustical pieces and, you know, obviously just making sure the doors do what they're supposed to do and isolate, you know, which allow us to do things like these back booths. We run them as production spaces, you know, a lot of times, which they don't interfere. We haven't had a complaint yet from either booth complaining on each other.
That's good.
You know, just to kind of maximize the space. And another cool thing too is, you know, with the patch bays and the Aviom system, being able to tie the booths closest to the back booths, they get their own vocal booth, you know, which really kind of allows for maximum flexibility and being able to fire on all, you know, cylinders. And you asked about bands, you know, if you do have that situation, you've obviously got the big room for drums or whatever you want to put in here, 2 amp isolation and 6 ISO booths, you know. So, and even in the back in the mic locker, there's lines for whatever. So, you know, it's a really flexible space that's, you know, really, you know, I think to move around the room and be setting things up, it's really easy to do that. It's clean, it's wonderful. So.
Yeah, also love the gobos that Rose Tone built as well.
In the 9th hour too. They did they really came through, they do. Yeah, they've been great. I mean, usually for a vocal, like when Post comes in, we'll set up this, this horseshoe type thing around him, facing the control room, and we'll put up the 800 he always uses, and dial him in like that. And they've been just wonderful.
Yeah, and it's great because it has absorption on one side, diffusion on the other. So
exactly.
depending on what you're using it for, you can spin it around and get a different sound, which is pretty awesome.
And definitely not to be left out, Danielle, this back hallway that you had helped put together with Austin's inspiration, right?
Yes.
The plaster in there, it makes a really wonderful echo chamber.
Oh yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I actually had a couple guitar amps set up right here, facing this way, and I baffled them off from each other, and then put a UAD sphere in there just to kind of just mess with different mics. I haven't really used it that much, so I wanted to try it. And it literally sounds like a plug-in. You play something on the guitar and it just...
Yeah, immediately when you walk in, you can hear right here on the mic. But yeah, it's
just the plaster you chose really helped me out.
Was that a kind of happy accident then, that you weren't planning on using it that way maybe? But
I can't say we were planning on using it that way. We just wanted to create, because most people obviously are going to park in the back parking lot and enter the studio from here, and it's just a really cool, like, grand entrance into the studio.
It's beautiful. For sure. I mean, the nice thing is you have so many different types of rooms to experiment with.
Absolutely, no, for sure, and
the amp rooms as well.
Yeah, they've got different, one is metal, one is a wood, so you can kind of, or face it away to the fabric, whatever you want, so.
Did you have to change out all the mic plates in here, right?
I did, so that was a fun project, we were kind of getting up against a deadline of some things, and I didn't want to miss a deadline, and I also saw an opportunity to do something really cool with some local, shops here in Nashville, like, the Forge. So went down to the Forge and got these laser cut out of the walnut, same batch, I think it was, of that stuff, and got some connectors from Trace Audio here in town for the Ethernet connectors. But for all the XLR stuff, the panels that were on there, I actually took the connectors off and put them back on. I just thought that was kind of a cool salute to the old place, giving them another life, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And they've got the Electric Feel logo.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
They do. They all do.
And then we've also we did the speakers in here for playback in here as well.
And shout out to Mate from LA. He came out for, I think, maybe a week or two to help me kind of trace some cables and stuff. And this was one that it was kind of funny because we'd looked for probably 3 hours for because they're cut. We couldn't find them, and I was searching the machine room and coming here, tracing different stuff. We finally found it, hooked it up. We were high-fiving, and we're like, hell yeah, no one's ever going to use it. And then literally the first session, like, hey, can we? I was like, oh, so glad we did that. So it was really cool. And that, it's the fun part about building studios is, you see the stuff at least for me, you look at the stuff and you think of somebody. You're like, hey, Mate, help me with this. Or like, Christian and Mikey and Carlos and, all those guys help. It's a really great thing to be able to walk into a space every day and just kind of feel surrounded by those people. Or actually, honestly, my favorite thing is when, like, for instance, Post to leave at like 7 or 8 in the morning, and I'll, be by myself and kind of just like sit down, catch your breath for a second, whatever, and just kind of sitting here and think about like working with you on this and being I don't know, just think about that stuff. I'm introspective,
I know that about you.
Yeah, so.
I feel like studios collect stories.
They do.
Yeah.
They make them for sure.
They really do. Like, we have so many stories from LA, from here, from construction to sessions, and even just like the history of studios as well, I think is so interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the history of studios too. I mean, speaking of Nashville, so many great studios here, so many great engineers, producers, artists. It's such a crazy experience. Like, for instance, I mentioned Pat Holt earlier. He's a very accomplished person, and when you kind of realize the shoulders you stand on, it's you just want to do it right and pay respect. We went to the Country Music Hall of Fame when we were kind of finishing this up, and you just kind of, not that I didn't know, I've always loved country music and just been a big fan of, Nashville in general, but it's just, you kind of really see the artifacts left behind, and it's just like, we better do some stuff, I don't know, just to pay respect. So,
and I think that the cool part is that now you guys are part of the story here in Nashville, and you're going to be, those stories are going to be collected in here, going to affect so many other people in town.
Try to earn that
around the world. So.
Absolutely.